Yo, it's your boy AO, host of Lakers for Life Live, a channel for fans by fans. Um, if y'all tapping in, it was game one today. Lakers versus OKC, David versus Goliath. We've been waiting for this series. We've been waiting for this series. We know how the regular season went. And for the most part, I'd say that this game was going well. There was a minus point differential of minus 29 during the regular season. We were getting completely obliterated by OKC. Mind you, we didn't have uh, Luca in a game. We didn't have the trio plus LeBron James. We didn't have LeBron James in game one. Uh, we just didn't have players. So and OKC didn't have players as well too, but these games would go out of hand very, very quickly in the regular season. So, we came in today 15 and a half point spread dogs. And it was going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. JRA was good, bro. Ugh, I know, man. We're going to start off with the big picture, but hey, I mean, what we saw in the regular season, I don't think was going to be an indication of what we were going to see in the playoffs. For the reasons I've said, a lot of injuries, and it was just strange every time we played OKC. But we knew that we're going to have no Luca. We don't know when Luca is coming back. Um, it could be games 3, games 4, and not even at all in this series, depending on how it goes. So we already knew the hill was quite steep. This was going to be a huge challenge for us. Um, I posted earlier on today, my factors for the game, which we'll go over on this first live show, to where, this was going to be a very tough matchup, but I think there was a path. I think there was a path to, compete, especially with no J Dub, and give yourself a chance to steal a game, and give yourself a chance to steal a game, and then see what happens. You steal a game, the odds sway, and you keep pushing forward. But before we get into everything, for all those tapped in, welcome to Lakers for Life. Again, I'm your host AO. If you're new to the channel, stay tapped in with me. We've been going live post game after every Laker playoff game. Make sure you hit subscribe on the YouTube if you're coming from YouTube. If you're coming from X, make sure you hit X, my World of AO account, with a follow. Please like the video. It helps with the algorithm, helps get it spread out. So that'll help me out. And with my takes, whether you like it or hate it, drop a comment and debate it. Don't be shy. Let's get the comments flooded. Tell me what you think about this game, because there is a lot to unpack with this game. But, let's really get into it. I thought we started off the game great. I think we had a defensive plan for SGA, and how we neutralized him, or how we made it difficult for him, was one of my keys for this series. And, it starts with Marcus Smart. We know he's our anchor on defense, and we know that he gets active. And as long as we didn't overhelp, switch too fast, when we were trying to, when the picks come, we knew we were going to send some blitzes out. We've seen that work for us during the regular season in big matchups. And I think it worked great. SGA did not have a great game, y'all. I usually start with the Lakers side, but we're going to start with OKC today. He only had 18 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. He shot 8 for 15, but he only got to the free throw line 3 times. And we know how much of a foul baiter he is. We know how much he can draw free throws. But Marcus Smart and the Lakers executed their defensive game plan to a T today. And it really sucks that we weren't able to come out with a close game towards the end of the fourth to even make it, worrisome a bit to put pressure on OKC. Hey, you need to figure out this counter or we're going to be competing in this series. We end up getting blown out for other reasons. But I thought the defensive game plan was great to start the game. We looked good. Shay on the beat was good, bro. We looked good in the beginning. Actually thought we had a chance. And that defensive game plan was a big part. I mean, games where you get SGA to score 18 is insane. It's insane. We were only down 8 at the half, but the game got away from us in the second half. We were right there neck and neck. We'll go through the game breakdown, through three quarters, and then it kind of just blew open. But it really, really sucks with no J Dub, and we completely, kind of make SGA have a stinker in this game. And we weren't able to capitalize or even get close. We end up losing the game by 18, 90 to 108. I don't think the score was completely indicative of the game outside of the fourth quarter where it really got away. But man, I thought the defensive game plan was great. And Marcus Smart continues to be that guy for us. I wish we had one or two more on the roster so we can, constantly throw out defensive pressure against OKC. What was crazy was, OKC played well in the non-SGA minutes, which that hurts. You want to take advantage of those minutes. They played well when SGA was not in the game. But, to kick off the stats, Marcus Smart, again, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. His 4 steals, anytime he gets 4+ stocks in a game, it changes the outlook and the complexion of the game. We need that from him. Again, he's our anchor. And I thought he played really well defensively, and we executed our game plan. The issue was he went 4 for 15 from the field, 26% from field goal range, 2 for 8 from 3. And, if we go to the big takeaways that I gave in my season or in my series preview, having a defensive game plan and making it difficult for SGA, you're never going to stop him, but making it difficult for SGA, getting him out of his actions, making others, have to make plays, not necessarily activate OKC, but others making plays. We executed that today. Granted, they did shoot the ball. There were some players on OKC, which we'll go over, that shot the ball well, and they're just 3-and-D throughout the roster. But I thought we played really well. The another big key is you have to keep up with the scoring pace of OKC. Their offensive rating gets crazy at points in the game. And if you can't keep up with their scoring, it is very hard for you to stay in a game, to withstand their runs, and to keep pace. Otherwise, you get what we got today. 18-point deficit. We didn't score over 30 points for one quarter. So when you can't score, when you score 37 points in the second half, it's going to be very hard to beat OKC. And, 3-point shots, need to come in flurries. So you get 2 for 8 from Marcus Smart. So not the best, 4 for 15 from the field. His defense was great. Now, we're going to go to him right away at the top of the show because I'm not going to wait. Austin Reeves, and if y'all in this chat, I need to hear what y'all saying. Austin Reeves is my guy. I say it time and time again on each show. That's my favorite player on the Lakers as a fan. We're for fans by fans. As a fan, Austin Reeves is my guy, and he's had a great, great season. Close to 25 points per game in stretches before he got hurt. But man, what I went to before I got into his stat line, what I wanted to see, win or lose in this series, win or lose, is we can identify what gaps we have on our roster to compete with OKC But I did want to see a change in how we played against them in the season to the playoffs, which I thought we came out the gates 3 quarters. I thought we played well. The game got away from us. But more than just the team aspect of this, I wanted to see how Austin Reeves rises to the occasion. We know he came back from injury against Houston. He had a couple games to ramp up. OKC is the game where, hey, Luka's not here to be a playmaker. He's not here to give you his 33 points per game or his barrage of threes and just offensive prowess. You're that guy. You're back in this primary playmaker role. You still got LeBron. You've had a great season. I need you to show what you can do and be that guy. Win or lose, I want to see your 25 points per game. I want to see you bend the defense. I want to see you get into the paint and kick out for three. I want to see you get their defense into a frenzy and open up opportunities for other players on the team. Be that guy that we potentially are going to pay in the offseason as a free agent, right? This is where your money gets made. You can have a great regular season, but there is recency bias to us, and the playoffs get magnified tenfold because this is where it matters, right? This is where it matters when you're trying to win a chip. That's what you play the season for. And I put out a short clip today, but it just pains right after the game, but it pains me at how badly he played today and really just sold off this game. And, Shay on the beat said it. That's on AR. It 100% is on AR today. We know OKC was going to be focusing on him. We know we know that the defensive pressure and the intensity OKC brings, right? They may not have the complete size and length as a Houston Rockets team, but they have feisty ass defenders. Dort, Cason Wallace, AR, you name it, AJ Mitchell, right? Austin knows all this. He knows how he's played in the playoffs, right? He hasn't had a consistent playoff, outing, right? There's always been something to his game. And the slander has always been he doesn't play well against, physical defenses that are focused in on him. And can take away his scoring capability. My goals for Austin for this series was about 23 to 27 points per game. I wanted to see 8 to 10 free throws attempts. I wanted to be a playmaker with low turnovers and really just put pressure on the defense. And y'all, chat, today, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists on 3 for 16 shooting. He shot 19%, 0 for 5 from 3, and 4 turnovers. Got to the free throw line only twice. So if you're talking about the most polar opposite game from what I just outlined to you, and Austin Reeves was my number one swing factor in this series. If you want to keep up in the score with the scoring barrage OKC gives in their offensive rating and keep up with that pace, Austin Reeves needed to give you 23, 27 points a game in this series. And I know that could be crazy, but he did it in the season. He did it. He had big scoring outputs. And the fact that he only had 8 points today was the difference in the game. It was 100% the difference in the game. And we'll get into the other role players and the positives from this game. But you lost by 18. Austin Reeves had 8 points, and he went 3 for 16 from the field and got to the foul line twice. Did not make a three. And that opens up the door. If it's not all the way open on the Lakers TL, I haven't gotten all the way on the TL. I've seen a little bit. But this thing is more than creaked open. And if he does not have a good game too, I think it's going to be full slander. And for someone that supports AR, as a fan of both him and just his play, obviously, and what he can bring and how dynamic his offense can be, right? He can score from all three levels. He can get to the bucket. He can finish at the rim. He can make plays as a playmaker. And he puts the defenses on their toes. But to see this in game one, and I'm not going to give bail with the injury. It's the playoffs. You've had 2 games. You're playing, you're starting. We expect a certain level. And this just was not it. This was a sold off game. And when you think about, going into the offseason, these are the games that people are going to remember. So it's imperative for Austin to bounce back. And the defense is going to do their thing. OKC is not going to let up on defense. This isn't even a counter or running different actions or JJ trying to figure something out. This is Austin Reeves going, I know what they're about to throw at me, and I need to get busy. I need to hit my shots, and I need to come out the gates, because if I don't, this team, who already have their backs against the wall, it's going to be that much harder. And JRA said it. Can't believe what I was seeing from Reeves. What's crazy about Reeves, JRA, I couldn't believe it either. I was losing my mind. Like, if y'all were watching me while I was watching the game, I was cussing a boatload, like just infuriated with Austin's play. It was terrible. Just looking like a shell of himself. A shell of himself. And even in the garbage time in the fourth quarter, JJ left him out there. Like, yo, even though we're down by, 15 plus, 18 points, use this time to get into a rhythm. Let's see some shots go down. Let's have you make some good plays. Get to the free throw line. Do something to get some level of rhythm that you can carry into in game 2. And that didn't even happen. He had one jumper in the fourth, and that was that. Just bricking. And it's come to a point where it's concerning. I'm always going to be optimistic and have faith in AR to bounce back. We've seen him bounce back, but what I'm worried about is the trend now that we saw in the Minnesota series, even though in a pivotal game, he had a good second half. But again, it was just a good second half. It wasn't a wire-to-wire game. We didn't have like a game where we just went Austin Reeves owned this matchup. He did his thing, especially in comparison to, how he's played during the season. And this was a meteoric rise for him this season. And to see a game like that, like where you got Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard barely. Luke Kennard didn't even play that well, and he had 7 points tonight. So it's like, yeah, I mean, Shay on the beat, the pairing of him and Luke as your max players just doesn't make sense anymore. Might not be worth that max contract. It's a very bad look for him. The conversations are already starting, and I want to hear it in the chat. Don't be shy. Come into the chat. Let me know what y'all think about Austin. Are we giving him bail? You feel like this was a fluke, just one game. He's going to bounce back in game 2. I want to hear from y'all. Don't be shy. Get up in the chat. Make your way over to YouTube and drop your chats in. But to just keep to go on Austin again, and to Shay on the Beats point, he may not be worth the max contract, and more so is the pairing of him and Luka as your max players. Does it make sense? I don't know if it makes sense. Because the thing is with Austin with this, we know he can be scrappy at times on defense, take a charge. I think he's more than an average defender, but you're not an elite defender. You're not going to sit here locking down players. We've seen him play some good defense on teams. He definitely can't be your primary defender. And, with Marcus Smart playing this well, but the age he's at, he can be injury prone at times. I would much rather move Marcus Smart to the bench, but this is a big question. And this series is meant to answer that question is, can AR be that pairing with Luka for the future and make that $41 million max salary in his first year make sense? And I love AR. As an individual player, I think he's great. And if we were not to re-sign him, I think he's going to be fantastic wherever he goes. But when you're trying to win a chip and you have so many pieces and you have a lot of deficiencies, having two players in Luka and AR that are good defenders at times, but they're not elite defenders. I couldn't, even though Luka played much better on the defensive end this year, and the stats prove it. If you don't have an elite two-way player next to him, I think that's at a disadvantage, especially if you're bringing back a Rui. And we know how LeBron is during the season, right? And how he picks it up during the playoffs. If we don't replace our center in DeAndre Ayton, he's not necessarily someone that's imposing at the rim or has intense defense, right? We've seen how weak his closeouts can be. He's not the most intimidating, even though I thought he played well today. We'll get into him. But when you need defenders in that starting lineup and your only one is Marcus Smart, that's something to think about, because if you're not going to put up the scoring prowess, you're hitting us with 8 points and you're not an elite defender, you start to get questions being asked. To Shay on the Beats point, is this the right pairing? And if you're going to pay $41 million, you're not going to pay $41 million for 8 points on 3 for 16 shooting. Like, at minimum, what you would want to see is, even if it's an inefficient night, AR gets to the line 8 times. He goes 5, 6 for 20. Scrapes his way to 20 points. I want to see that. He had to resort to getting assists on just diming it to Jackson Hayes. That can't be the game plan. The difference between AR and Luka manufactures and wills his way because his scoring level is ridiculous. And that's our biggest missing piece, is when we have those droughts, Austin's playing the way he's playing. LeBron James isn't the same one-on-one player he was, and we can't expect that from him, even though I thought he played fantastic today. Luka will go find you buckets. He's going to figure it out, whether it's from 3, being methodical, breaking a defense down. He's going to manufacture points. So if you have that player already, you need to make sure you get, that two-way presence on the other end, right? You could have a situation where Luka is, manufacturing points. Your defense is still staying honest, right? You have Marcus Smart. You have that two-way player that we'd like to pair Luka with if we don't go with AR, right? That can still hold it down defensively, weather the storm, but can still be a bucket on the other end. So it's very interesting. I'm going to be optimistic and say that Austin Reeves is going to bounce back game 2. We know he's hard on himself. We know when he F's up. We know when I know he knows he feels the slander right now. And I want to see it come through. I don't want him to go out like this, but it makes it very hard to defend him when you have a game this way. Of just your scoring output cannot be 8 points. I don't care how intense the OKC defense is. If you're that guy and you're positioning yourself and the team wants to position you to be the number 2 player on the team, when LeBron goes and to pair with Luka, 8 points is not going to cut it. You have to figure something out. And if you can't, it begs the question of, is this the right pairing? But I'm hoping he bounces back. Y'all tell me in the chat, do y'all have confidence he will or not? Was the OKC defense too zoned in on him, too much for him to handle? Y'all tell me. But Reeves aside, I know we've said a lot about Reeves, so we're going to look to game 2. And again, he's my number 1 swing factor. I thought DeAndre Ayton played well for 3 quarters. 10 points, 12 rebounds, had a block. You could see the focus. His scoring efficiency wasn't there. He was 5 for 12, but the dude grabbed 5 offensive rebounds. He was only a -4 on the night. At one point when we were down 9, he was a plus on the night. DeAndre Ayton was locked in from the tip today. From the tip. And then, a few bobbles happened, but he only had 1 turnover on the night. I thought DeAndre played well in his 27 minutes. Jackson Hayes looked a bit lost to me. He was -12 in his minutes. And he's another player that I just think against elite competition, he's not ready or there yet. And JJ refuses to play, Maxi Kleber in those spot center minutes when DeAndre Ayton's not on the floor. DA and Rui have been great. So I thought DA, like 27 minutes, he did get into foul trouble early, which is why the minutes are low and then the game got out of hand. But if he can control those fouls, I think DA needs to play 35, 36 minutes. He played well. Isaiah Hartenstein got into some foul trouble today. DA came with it. He came with it. Rui Hachimura, 18 points, continues to be that steady presence, 7 for 13 from the field, 3 for 6 from three. He is showing he has real value. Rui Hachimura is doing this against OKC. Like, he has shown in a playoff setting, the dude can knock down shots. And, if we go back to my keys, in keeping up with the scoring barrage, you need to hit threes. You need to have Rui and Kennard be threats because that spaces out the defense. That allows LeBron James to make plays. That gives DA an opportunity to work in the short roll. Maybe that allows Austin to get bigger lanes to do what he needs to do, right? So Rui held up his end of the bargain. 3 threes, 18 points. The dude is a sniper right now. And yes, it was only 2 rebounds tonight, but he's another debatable piece, right? Win or lose in this series. I think he's got to keep this play up for us to compete in this series, but he hasn't given me any doubt that he won't. When he gets open shots, the dude's knocking them down at a very high rate. I mean, historically, the best playoff 3-point shooter of all time. That's wild. Rui Hachimura. That's worth something in the NBA. And if he actually locked in on the defensive end, he could make so much more money than he is right now. But I think he's a good player, and I think he's going to be someone that's going to be demanded on the market, especially if you have defenders in that starting lineup, and he doesn't need to be your primary defender, even your secondary defender or your third defender. He's locked in a role where there's a lot of perimeter, defense in their wings. He could play that starting 4 spot, and he could get you buckets, especially if you have a facilitator on that team. I've always, liked Indiana for Rui. They got Memhard, they got Halliburton, they got Naismith. You slot in Rui. Obviously, they have Siakam, but a team like that with good perimeter defense, hell, on OKC, I think he'd go lit. He'd get lit. We're not going to manifest that, but the point being is I thought Rui came to play. And like Shay on the Beat said, DA and Rui held up their end of the bargain. LeBron James, 27 points, 12 for 17. Very efficient game. 71% and 50% from threes from LeBron James. Only 2 turnovers. He's only a -6 on the night. He played fantastic from the jump. He started off this game, playing really well. Really well. And he had that big play at the end of the second quarter, where the game looked like it was getting out of hand. He got that pick 6 to a dunk, leveled it out, and we were right back in there. This thing could have gone to 15 points at halftime. And I thought LeBron James did great on leveling the playing field, really, and really setting the tone and the pace of this game. I don't think OKC has an answer for LeBron James. That's the one player that, I don't believe they have anyone that can guard up, straight up. Where I'm going to challenge LeBron a little bit is in my factors on my post on X, where I gave the series preview. A big point to the factor was you need to figure out how to neutralize Chet Holmgren's presence on the offensive and defensive end. We know DA was going to be on Isaiah Hartenstein. You don't have J-Dub playing, so Rui can play on a Dort. I think LeBron has to take that Chet Holmgren matchup and really own it. Holmgren today had 24 points, 9 for 17 from the field, 2 for 2 from three, 12 rebounds. He was great. And I think LeBron, with Smart and us blitzing SGA, I think LeBron really has to stay home on Chet and just be physical. He can body, he can be physical with Chet. But um, I think we got to make it a little more difficult than what we did with Chet today. Um, so that would be my one challenge for LeBron. But overall, I thought LeBron James was terrific today. And if he can just lock in on that defensive end and take that Chet Holmgren matchup personally, we can stay competitive in a game too. Especially, you can't expect SGA to have the same level, the same type of game. If he scores another 9 points, but Chet only has 17, you kind of net out those two scoring production. And then you hope a guy like AJ Mitchell doesn't go off for 18 points, right? He was really the player that got loose in the starting lineup. Jared McCain, amazing. 12 points off the bench. A lot of that was when the game was really over. But, we'll get into the team stats. OKC had 13 threes on the night. We had 10. So a 9-point difference, not too bad. But, I didn't see any big time performances from players. Like, they made timely threes like they always do to get those runs, those 10-2, 10-0, 8-0 runs. But there wasn't, like, we didn't make a complete star out of a role player outside of, AJ Mitchell. But we know how good AJ Mitchell is. So if we can neutralize Chet and then expect SGA to score at a slightly higher clip than 18 points, I think we can catch ourselves in a game again and compete. But again, it relies into the fact that Austin Reeves needs to do something. He can't have 8 points. I mean, to round out the bench, Luke Kennard had 7 points today, 5 rebounds. He was only 1 for 4, 25%. He made his free throw. So he was a minus 14 on the night. We didn't see that efficient scoring and those barrage of middies and threes from Luke Kennard. It's been strange. He's a player that we saw play well in the 4th game of the season against OKC, where we didn't have the trio, we didn't have Smart. Luke was a big driving force in staying with them for about a quarter and a half before we let it go. And he found ways to score. And we've always said in our shows that Luke Kennard, even with AR back, has to continue with his aggressiveness. JJ needs to continue running actions for him. He needs to be a force multiplier. You're going to be able to raise your level of play with Luka out if AR is doing what AR needs to do, and then Luke Kennard stays aggressive on top of it. We didn't want his scoring output to decrease at this magnitude, even with Austin Reeves back. We know we weren't going to get 20 plus points from him every night, but hell, getting 13 to 15 from him, I don't think that's a tall ask. We kept talking about Luke Kennard has showed he's a riser. And I think something's just off there. And I think JJ needs to be very intentional in getting Luke Kennard involved, because Rui Hachimura is one half to this equation. He's doing his thing. To make this very dynamic, you need to have both of them on the wings being true threats. And that's if Marcus Smart's in the game, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, staggered with, someone else. But those two being aggressive at scoring, take gravity, right? And when the gravity goes towards the wings and the perimeter, that opens up your lanes. That opens up your short roll, right? So while Luke Kennard hasn't been as bad as he's been some of those late games in the Houston Rockets series, 7 points is not enough. And 4 shot attempts is not enough, especially when AR put 16 up and shot 19%. But if we want to stay competitive in these games, Luke Kennard's got to be a piece. He's got to be a piece. And we need to see that volume. He's back to like low volumes again. So that's been concerning. I mean, to wrap it up with the bench, Jake LaRavia to me is unplayable. I'm about done with him for this series. Shay on the beat said JJ needs to play Thero. Jake is done. At this point, and I've said it time and time again, I'm a broken record at this point. I don't see the difference right now between Jake LaRavia and Vando, which prayers up to Vando, man. I don't know what happened to that pinky. I saw it hit the backboard, but the amount of pain on his face was crazy to watch, even from the TV screen. And they have a clip going on right now on the TL of OKC's reaction. Something happened to that pinky because their reaction was ridiculous. And I heard that, on the next post that they had to put a towel over it so that he don't spaz out. It was that excruciatingly, like, egregiously bad, which sucks because I thought Vando was another good defender. He was only a -4 in 6 minutes, but I think we could have used his energy today. Where if Marcus Smart, is on the bench, you throw Vando out there to just make life difficult for SGA or whomever. He's got enough size to, bring some physicality against Chet. But I think we needed him in this series. And to be honest, with how bad Jake LaRavia has been offensively, I don't see how Vando would be any different on the offensive end. I mean, Vando had a nice dunk today. He missed his three-point attempt. That hasn't really been going down. But that defensive intensity, I mean, Jake is putting the ball on the ground, making turnovers, stupid plays. In the second quarter, when OKC went on that 9-2 run, Jake was a big part of it. He had a bad miss in the lane. He turned the ball over. It was all of a sudden a 6-point switch. And then it was like a 9-2 run. And that was with LaRavia and Hayes struggling. And if we go into takeaways, I don't know why JJ Redick took out Austin Reeves and LeBron James at the same time. Like, Austin did not play well, overall in the game, but he's still a threat out there. You take both out of the game, that's against the defending champs. I don't understand that. Chat, you tell me. Am I missing something there? I was infuriated. I thought JJ conceded the game at the end of that second quarter by letting OKC go on that run in about 2 minutes, not having either of them on the floor. That can't happen again. You always need to have one on the floor. Like, how are we in the playoffs in the second round and that's happening? I don't care Luka's not playing. You got to stagger your minutes better than that, JJ. You can't be taking LeBron and AR out in a quarter where you have momentum and let it slip. Because when you make stupid mistakes, OKC makes you freaking pay. We see it time and time again throughout the game. And if you don't have the scoring barrage, you can't enable these runs. So I thought, again, I thought the game could have gotten away from us at the end of that second quarter, but LeBron got that steal. He made some plays, and we were back in it. We were down, I believe, 8 at halftime. But we just could not get things going in the second half. We came out, again, the third quarter, not in the best way. We started turning the ball over at a higher rate, selling shots. I mean, multiple 6-point, 7-point switches. There's a 6-point switch with Austin Reeves. He was struggling, then turned the ball over. The lead went from 4 or 5 to back to 11. And then Marcus Smart made a great play on SGA, got the jump ball, saved a possession, but then bricks a 3, and then he gives up a 4-point play on the other end to AJ Mitchell, I believe. And that was game. When you have these 6-point switches, like, a bad miss against OKC is pretty much a turnover because they're going the other way and they're making things happen. So, again, you have to play meticulous basketball against OKC. And these types of things are, things that we could potentially control. You got to just make shots. You got to make the timely shots. You got to make the shots that are going to break OKC's momentum and calm the game back down. You get them out in the open floor and get them gunning. It's tough. And when they go up 12, 14, 15, you don't have that scoring barrage behind you with no Luka. It's very hard to get back in the game. I mean, if we break down the team stats, OKC shot 49% from the field. They had three more threes. We only shot 33% from three. I wanted high volume on 3-point attempts. We shot 30 today. I think that needs to go up. Again, Kennard cannot be scared to shoot. Austin Reeves just got to make buckets. But we only shot 41% from the field. I mean, the field goal attempts were dead even. OKC didn't get to the foul line as much as, they typically do. Um, which, I put a whole rant out last night of just the type of basketball that the refs enable them to play in terms of physicality, where they get away with things. I didn't really see it too rampant today. That's not the excuse I'm going to use. I'm not even going to use reffing as an excuse. I don't think there was anything to be said about that. OKC had 5 more fast break points. They had 3 more blocks. The rebounds were kind of dead even, 41 to 44. Even points off turnovers, they didn't punish us like they typically do. It was 20 to 16. They did get some second chance points. But their offense, we out rebounded them on the offensive rebounded side. So you're not losing on the margins, yet you lost by 18 just because you couldn't, throw a rock into the ocean. Water Wet 69. What up, my G? AR getting exposed. He's a regular season player, only not built for a postseason against great teams. OKC in 4, easy sweep, win for OKC, for show. I'm not disagreeing with you. We talked about AR extensively at the top of the show. Your next guy, I thought AR is your second option. What happened to him? Became a role player. He is. Waterwood, I've said it. You know me. You've been on these shows. I'm a big supporter of AR. I am. And I just found it very, very sad today that of the performance we saw. And it was hard to defend, and to your comments, Waterway, he is the second option. He's my number one factor. He's my number one swing factor in this series. If Austin Reeves cannot score, this series is cooked. This series is cooked if Austin Reeves cannot score. And I'm talking about scoring at a 25 point per game plus level. If he can't do that, we are cooked. But, Waterwet, to your point, we discussed extensively, if he struggles this series, it's going to open up a lot of questions in the offseason. And again, he is not an elite defender. I don't think he's ever going to get there. I think he can be a good defender. He's never going to be your primary. You're setting yourself up to lose if that's the case. But I think he can be he could be a good defender. But with what he's lacking on the defensive side of the ball and not being able to completely shut down a player, he can make things difficult. He can get scrappy and get charges. You need to be that much more elite offensively. And 8 points is not going to cut it. And if he's and to this point too, win or lose this series, we know how much of a challenge OKC is going to be. We want to be competitive. We want to put forth the best effort possible so that we can truly see what gaps, what actually works. And we could be more informed going into the offseason. But a big part outside of just the team play, overall team play, was AR. This is his series all over it. His signature is all over this series. He needs to put his imprint all over this series. And, he hasn't come out the gates well. And, we'll see if he bounces back game 2. But if he does not, there's going to be a lot of conversation on an easy right player. We had a comment in this chat from Shay on the beat saying, I don't think he's a max player. Yeah. Waterweight, you're saying the same thing Shay on the beat said. Austin Reeves don't deserve a max contract. He's just a role player on a championship team. Which, a role player on a championship team, 100% agree. 100% agree. But what's the price point? Like him at this price point right now, playing the way he is, it's excusable, right? You can bring in other talent, but he's not going to make this money. The money is going to go up. But when you're making $41 million in your first year and that's increasing over the course of your contract, It's going to come with bigger expectations. And those expectations are not just the regular season, it's the playoffs and performing against the best of the best. Because when you're making 41 million, you're slating yourself in as the second option on the team. Especially if, we're trying to build out a real rotation if LeBron were to leave, for example. And we're trying to get multiple players for that salary. You're going to be the second highest paid player on the team. That's a wild take, Water Wet. Swap Reeves with AJ Mitchell, and you'll see the impact. Yo, hey, that's an interesting comment. I'm not going to go there quite yet. AJ Mitchell is a solid player, and I think the OKC role players, Caruso, Dort, Mitchell, Isaiah Joe would be like starters on our team. It's insane. And AJ Mitchell does have that two-way capability. That's actually a wild take. Water Wet. No, I did. I saw AJ Mitchell. I pointed it out. 18 points. He had that 4-point play on Smart. We turned I would say we turned a role player into a star, but he's just been good. I don't disagree with you. What I will say is we need more of those players. Like you said, if we had Austin Reeves, for example, but we added AJ Mitchell, type player to this roster, can hit the three, can score, and is a very above average defender. Yes, 100%. We go from good to, I think, great with a couple of those guys on the team. But again, it goes back to your price point conversation. You know, it goes to the price point conversation. If Austin is going to play like this, and I'm hoping he bounces back, y'all. I don't want to give up on him just yet. I'm putting it on watch. It's on my radar, but I don't want to see Austin Reeves go out like this. And I get it's not always about, the homegrown, the player you're attached to. You need to, pair your franchise player with the best out there. And you need to optimize strengths. And you can't go off of emotion. But man, this dude was so good this season, man. But I agree. The playoffs, this series, Waterwet, to your point, your deficiencies and your gaps get magnified in the playoffs tenfold. You could be great in the season, but you have one bad series. That's what the whole season's about, is to take that performance and to apply it to a series to get you, through each round and hopefully the chip. And Austin Reeves at a lower price point is a completely great player. Maybe he moves to a bench role, whatever it may be, a really Ginobili type 6-man. I think he has that potential where, yeah, Ginobili was a 6-man, but that guy was maybe the most important player on those Spurs teams. I think that could be definitely a path for him. The 41 million, once you have that in place, it comes with much higher expectations. And 8 points a game, I've said it like 5 times on this show. 8 points a game does not merit 41 million. So I completely agree with you. And I hope we can see a bounce back. But I think what this game has showed is, as much as even the biggest fans of Austin are, you're starting to see, does this actually make basketball sense? If you take the emotion and the fandom out of it, is he truly the right player to put next to Luka? Are we confident he is going to continue to get stronger? I don't know if you can't really get more athletic, but are you able to withstand the physicality, the contact, and be that player that could have an inefficient night, but still gives you 20 points on a bad day? I mean, Luka Doncic, think about this. This is his scoring prowess. When was the last time you see, outside of an anomaly type of game, when was the last time you saw Luka Doncic get points in the high teens? I'd have to look that up, chat. Whoever's in the chat, when was the last game where Luka maybe wasn't injured or there was a situation where he had to play low minutes, but he played actual minutes in the game, normal minutes, and he scored anything less than like 20 points? I feel like a 26-point game from Luka is a bad game just because we've seen how like daunting his scoring output could be for another team. When you're the number 2 option and you're making the money you're going to be making as the number 2 option, that is going to be your expectation. You can have a bad game, but it still comes with output. Any given time, any given team. You could lose. OKC could be the most physical team, but I guarantee you Luka could give him 35, 40 on a bad game. And on a bad night, okay, maybe we go down as low as like 24, 25, but he's still going to give them buckets. Maybe it's a little inefficient. This was inefficient and just not getting to the free throw line and just a bad game. But the slander is back all over the TL. People are looking at him in a different light, in a different lens. And again, when you're building a team out where you have to be competitive, these are hard decisions. Don't be shocked. Rob will still pay him max contract. Jeannie loves him. So I'll say this, and from everything I've gathered, the research, and just looking at it, even you can't let Austin Reeves walk. Like, let's make that very clear on here. If there was a situation where Austin Reeves is just not the guy we think he's going to be, and we need to pivot to another direction, you cannot let him walk. So I think the signing is going to take place regardless. Now, could there be a sign and trade? Could other teams be interested? 100%. I think he can be great on a lot of teams in the NBA. I think he's proven that much. The playoff stuff has to come. But we are going to sign him. And if he's not the player we think he's going to be, maybe a trade comes in the future because you can't lose that value. I'm not going to completely slander Austin Reeves to the fact, and I think, Waterwhite, you said it, he's not trash. He's definitely not. Let's make that very clear too. There is value for Austin Reeves. He can get you through a season, and he's shown he can be an alpha. Certain matchups has to get there and rise up in his career, but the dude can hoop. And I think he can be a great player on a lot of teams in the NBA. So the value is definitely there. At what dollar amount, what situation, I don't know, right? We're trying to go for a chip. He may not make sense as our second option. Maybe on another team he does at a different price point. Utah gives him $41 million, matches him up with Lauri Markkanen and JJJ. They got some hoopers there. Could be a different story, different expectations. And, he can grow his career that way. But a lot to be said. This is an interesting comment. Austin Reeves or Alex Caruso? That is a tough one for me. I posted up on X during the game. My blood boils when I see Alex Caruso hoop for the OKC Thunder, just in general, because of Rob Pelinka just letting him walk like he's worth nothing, and then sign THT on top of it. And they pick between the two, and they pick freaking THT. Caruso's defense is game-changing, and he can hit that three. Honestly, JRA, if Austin Reeves didn't exist as a human and we didn't know anything about him coming to LA, Caruso weathers the storm of the Russ trade. If we had Russ but Alex Caruso with him, I think we're still competitive every year. He's that impactful to me. And the fact that we need defense, imagining Marcus Smart and Caruso being a two-man wrecking crew on the defensive end, and Luka is just scoring, but he has his Bulldogs. I'm gonna go with Caruso, man. And I love AR. I don't want to take away from AR, but Caruso is that impactful to me. Someone debate me. What would y'all do in the chat? That was an interesting question. I know JRA's been on enough shows to know how much I like both of those players. But Marcus Smart, Alex Caruso, and Luka Doncic, that is wild to me. That defense, Luka's going to get all the defense he needs. Our POA is something stupid, and Caruso can still hit the three to keep the defense honest. We'd be one of the best defenses in the NBA with those two Bulldogs. Now, Caruso at a different price point, right? So AR getting paid the way he is, I'd want to make sure we get some other value in return, but damn, I can't get over the fact that we lost Caruso because I think he solved so many problems for us. And if we didn't get Luka, I think AR and Caruso would have been an ultimate backcourt too. I'll say it. I think AR and Caruso would have been just fine. And if AD stayed healthy, we had Braun and AD, I think we would have been great still with no Luka if that trade never happened. And I think we'd give teams the work. Reeves, bro, I wasn't that high on Caruso. I didn't think his offensive bag was deep enough to last. Reeves is if you look at individual players, Austin Reeves, for what he does, is on another level, right? On another level in terms of individual play and what he can provide a team from an individual standpoint. That's not the comparison here. The comparison is within what we have to build around Luka, because he is your franchise player. What makes sense? And if you had to allocate that salary accordingly, I would say Caruso is a very, very good pairing with Luka. And you see the type of impact Marcus Smart has with this team. Can you imagine if we had two? You could run those two together. Yeah, you're smaller, but Caruso's not that small. He's 6'5". He can guard up. Y'all remember Caruso guarding Jokic last year, which was insane. Insane. You got Marcus Smart and Caruso. You could throw both of them on SGA and J-Dub. You can completely dissolve the San Antonio Spurs guard play. Those are two players you throw at Jamal Murray when he's trying to cook us with GOAT performances against LA. I don't know, JRA, am I not convincing you? And chat, like it or hate it, drop a comment and debate it. I want to hear from you. I could be reckless right now, 100%. I just have an affinity for Caruso. And I'll say this about Rob, and we'll get into the offseason stuff when the season's over. But like, as many splashes as Rob has had, he brought us Luke Kennard. He got Rui Hachimura for Kendrick Nunn. He brought us DFS. Luke Kennard was a great trade for Gabe Vincent. Rob Pelinka's asset management is complete shit. And things like letting Caruso walk and then signing THC, who I don't even think is in the NBA anymore, these are very impactful moves that negate those splashes to where you're not moving forward. You set yourself and you're making splashes to get out of the hole versus really moving forward. And your asset management not hitting on Dalton Connect, not hitting on JHS, those are blunders. You cannot come out with two number 17 picks with a player that one is off the team, the other is completely out of the rotation. He isn't even good in the G League. And that's two number 17 picks. Those are supposed to turn into rotation players in years 2 and 3. So those players, like, there's a lot of blunders to Rob. And letting Alex Caruso walk was the biggest indictment I will give to, amongst other things, to Rob Pelinka. And I will never get over it. As a fan, I will never get over it because I don't understand the logic there. And if someone wants to debate me on that and explain it to me, please, by all means. By all means. But to go back on the Caruso stuff, some players are good and solid, And some players have that it factor. In my opinion, Reeves has that. And we've seen him come up clutch to win series like a couple of years back in Memphis. Don't think Caruso. Austin Reeves did play well. Austin Reeves has played well. Um, and again, JRA, I'm saying Austin Reeves to me is a very, very, very good player. And from an individual perspective, I think he's going to do some crazy things in this league. He's an alpha when he plays. But I'm thinking about when you piece players around, you saw what Luka did. And granted, he had Kyrie Irving. He had a ton of length and defenders around him. And I think while you may not get Kyrie, I think having those defenders, you could do some things at the four spot. You have Marcus Smart and Caruso. That's less pressure on Rui Hachimura, for example, to have to play, the defense we want him to play that we know he's never going to get to. That's where I'm coming from. Austin Reeves still fantastic player, but and I don't even want Austin Reeves to not be on this team, y'all. But we have to build something certain around Luka. So we'll see how the series progresses, but I think you're underestimating Alex Caruso. Like, this dude with his defense can swing a series. He started for us our chip year. Like, the dude was in his second year. And we've seen what he's done in the playoffs, what he did to neutralize, countless players in the playoffs. He's never going to be the scoring person. And I would say I don't know how, and JRA, just to preface this is based on the 41 million or 45 million. I think it's 41 max that we can give Austin Reeves. It's based on that dollar amount. So you can't think about individual players. You got to think about, okay, if you were to get an Alex Caruso type at that dollar amount that he's at, and you add on with that additional salary to make up the 41 we would be giving Austin Reeves, I think that changes kind of the context a bit. Individually, Austin Reeves, hands down, I think is the better player. That's no debate. Capable of doing anything near that himself? No, definitely not. He's not that same player as Austin Reeves. Now, within a team concept, and you take that dollar amount and you think about that, very different. And again, I said, if we never had Luka, the AD trade for Luka never happened, and you rolled Austin Reeves, Alex Caruso, Max Christie, LeBron James, and a healthy AD, that's a killer squad. That's a killer squad. That starting lineup is insane. Probably the best defensive team and still a potent offensive team. Probably be top 5 in both categories. And Caruso is a big factor to that. So that's where I'm coming from. I can name you 10 click 100%. 100%. AR's the truth, man. And that's why it made me so sad today to see this level of play from AR. I want him to be a Laker forever. But now, in seeing this play, in seeing AR's play, like in what he did today, it gives me concern. It does give me concern. I can compare Caruso to Josh Hart. That's another real one we let go. Granted, that was in the AD trade, so we had to, right? But Josh Hart, we groom a two-way type player that goes into a trade for a big star. Max Christie coming into his own two-way player that gets traded for a star. We let Alex Caruso walk. That's a 3-and-D player. Wouldn't say two-way, 3-and-D player. We let him walk. And if you really want a poor man version of all of that, we let Jordan Goodwin walk. That's a lot of 3-and-D two-way players that I just listed off. And we got nothing to show for it right now. And those are the exact players that we're trying to surround Luka with, right? And AR isn't necessarily those players. He's gifted offensively, but to Waterwet's point, you can do it in the regular season, but you have to do it against the best of the best in the playoffs. And the Denver Nuggets series, Houston, he didn't play well. This OKC series, the Minnesota series last playoffs. it leaves some room for question. And I've given him a lot of benefit of the doubt, and I still am. I'm still trying to be optimistic, but now when you're paying 41 million, you have to take those that play into context. And hopefully we see an improvement, a bounce back, and he gets it in. This is what this series is for. I said at the top of the show. Win or lose this series against OKC, I want to be competitive so that we can be better informed in the offseason. And I need to see AR get it in. I need to see him get it in. He can't struggle. He can't. Because, again, that's going to open up the can of worms. Goodwin was great this year for sure for the Suns. He's a poor man's, kind of 3-and-D player. Not really too much 3, but he shot well with us this year. He didn't really have too big of an impact in the playoffs, but it was a player that we couldn't afford because of how our cap was structured. We needed the money to sign Marcus Smart, and we needed to waive him to do that. So you pick Marcus Smart any day over him. I would have loved to again have Marcus Smart and him, to get through a season, throw out for some energy. But to Shay on the Beats point earlier, Adu Thero, I don't know if y'all remember his minutes in the fourth game of the season against OKC where we had no trio and no Marcus Smart. Dude was doing his thing defensively. And the guy is just a raw talent on the offensive end. He's just explosive, very athletic. With Vando out, I really am pissed that Vando's out. I don't know what happened to that finger. I don't think it's something that you can put into a splint and play the next game. Prayers up to Vando. But a Dude Thero might give you a different look that Jake LaRavia even can't provide. A dude can get out into transition. He's got a big body, big frame, can get physical. A guy to do some things against, some of the OKC players. Put him on AJ Mitchell. Let him struggle a bit. He's much bigger than AJ Mitchell. But I really hope we can, bounce back and try to keep it competitive. I'm not with you, Waterway, in the sense that we're gonna get blown out game 2. I'm not there yet. But for us to not lose by 18, Austin Reeves needs to play better, and we need to get the same performances from DA and Rui, who have been pretty consistent. LeBron James is going to be LeBron James. Marcus Smart's always going to be the defense, always going to bring the defense, and his shooting should hopefully get better because he did not shoot well today. So you keep DA steady, you keep Rui steady. LeBron continues to play at the level he's playing at. Marcus Smart keeps that defense up, shoots a little bit better. You get a bigger Austin Reeves performance. And then, off the bench, I still think you try out a Maxi Kleber. You try out an Adu Thero. Jake LaRavia is a wild card at this point, but you hope he just continues to hustle on the defensive end and at least do that. Luke Kennard, maybe he can get loose with higher volume. There is still room for us to improve. And if we can stay locked in on our defensive game plan on Shea, we'll see how OKC counters. For them to counter the blitz, Shea really has to attack it, or they keep him off ball. But we talked about it at the top of the show. We can expect an uptick in Shea's points in game 2. I don't think he's going to score 18. He'd probably be around 24, 25, maybe 30. Chet Holmgren had 24. What are you going to do there? And I think LeBron James has to take that matchup. You have to neutralize Chet, especially with no J-Dub playing. And our turnovers weren't as bad today. I think my goal was 12 turnovers or less in a game, and I said it at the show. So it was 17 today. And OKC didn't make us pay the price on those 17. They only had, I believe, 20 points off turnovers. So, maybe you clean up some turnovers. I think there was a lot in garbage time. But you get those turnovers down to 12. Austin doesn't have 4. But, Jackson Hayes had 3 turnovers today. You need to control that. But I think there is room to do some things. And I think Marcus Smart is a player I have confidence in that can make SGA work. Now, can we bring that same intensity and make Chet work? especially on the boards. If we're constantly like, I'll end with the show with this. Like, I think the blitz makes sense, and you have to rotate when you blitz. That's just natural, right? When you're sending two out, you make SGA pass the ball, you drop back, so you're playing 4-on-4 essentially. And then I think at that point you have to stay home. Like if you're making SGA get rid of the ball and it's 4-on-4 basketball because your blitz guy is now dropping back into the coverage, you have to stay home. You can't switch, and you can't switch without intention as well, because that's when you're going to get into weird matchups where Chet is getting an undersized player on him, or no one's boxing out and he's getting in there for an offensive board. Like, we need to, I think, and this is just me, be more disciplined and play one-on-one straight up defense. Like, DA, you are glued on Hartenstein. LeBron, you have to check um Chet, make sure he doesn't get active. That leaves you with like the Lou Dorts, the AJ Mitchells. At that point, if you're sending the double to Shea off maybe a Lou Dort and you're making Lou Dort hit threes on you, Austin, you got to stay on AJ Mitchell. Like, we got to keep the defense honest. When you get into these conceded switches, it doesn't work. But I thought overall we executed the game plan very effectively. OKC is going to come to the counter, though. Come with the counter, though. Make no doubt. So we have to be ready for that. But even with their counters, nothing changes on, LeBron and Smart, who need to be our defensive anchors, taking, those SGA and Chet assignments. And I think Aiton is more than capable of playing and battling with Isaiah Hartenstein, right? Now, depending on how they work out the blitz, it's going to be interesting to see, does the ball come out of SGA's hands to start actions? Does he come off ball and then, do they work actions from a different spot on the floor? He had a couple plays where we threw the blitz and he blitzed the blitz and he got to the rack, right? This guy's the reigning MVP. He's probably going to be the MVP again this year. I don't think we're going to shut him out completely. But we got to keep OKC guessing, and the defense has to come collectively. But, to end the show, you need, with the defense locked in, that's the first step. But you need to keep pace with the scoring. And while there's room to improve with guys like Marcus Smart and Kennard, again, we're going to end with AR has to rise to the occasion, and we need 25 points per game from him. He gets 25 points. Luke Kennard, 7 points, makes more of an impact. Marcus Smart making 2 more shots and shooting more effectively is a bigger impact. You know what I mean? So I'm praying. I'm praying for Austin Reeves in a bounce back game in game 2. But if that does not happen, I can see the floodgates opening of nothing but slander. LeBron looked good tonight. He sucks. I think you're referring to Reeves, right, JRA? Or I don't know who you're referring to, but I'm really hoping we see a bounce back from Austin, because my God, he's gonna be all over ESPN tomorrow. And you could just tell I was getting so, Reggie Miller and Mike Tirico were just like, Austin Reeves is struggling and just making it so apparent. And that juju was just resonating in the game. Oh, SGA, yeah. I'm not a big fan, even though people have said he has, they get nostalgia watching a certain player. That certain player is a GOAT in my book. And some of his offensive plays can get a little eerie, but I'm not there with SGA. For all the aura they say he has, I don't think I'm not. I don't get that. Oh my God, like that's a killer right there. Even though he's a great player. I'm not the biggest fan. He's a fantastic player. So we'll see. We'll see. I really hate that we lost by 18 in an SGA stinker today. And we couldn't just keep competing, make it a 10, 12-point game. But, that's what it is. That's what it is. So we got game two coming up next. There's not a lot of rest in between games. I'm not expecting any updates on Luca. We have to figure this out. And it's not even figuring things out. I thought, for the most part, again, our game plan was good. Austin's got to figure it out. He's got to look deep down inside of him and go, hey, am I going to F off these millions or I'm going to make this work? And I'm going to get after it in game two. And then we go from there. We have strong defense. He comes to play. We keep ourselves competitive. And that's all we're looking for. That's all we're looking for with 10% of Kobe's bag. Yeah, I agree. It ain't Kobe's bag all the way. But he'll give you glimpses. It gets kind of crazy sometimes with some of the shots he puts down. His midi is super nice too. His fadeaways, especially off the baseline, like good stuff. But no, he's not. He's not in the stratosphere to me, at least to me. Even though OKC, from a net rating standpoint, is historically right there with like the championship Bulls and those Warrior teams that were amazing. So we're playing like a historically like best team in the history of the NBA. Like they're on that type of generational like output right now. And we were in this thing. So, hey, San Antonio lost their first game against Minnesota, which I love seeing. I'm rooting for Minnie. Even though we lost to them last year, they are playing inspiring basketball. What's your favorite Kobe game? That's a good question. Favorite Kobe game I went to, I was in the building for Kobe's last game, where he dropped 60. I was in the building. Me and a couple of my boys went. I don't think I'm ever going to see a sporting event at that magnitude and that you talk about aura, that much aura, and it was a literal movie. I will never see that again. Guys outside were trying to buy our tickets for like 2K a piece. We were tempted. I was in business school at that time, and I was like, damn, this could pay off a good chunk of my loan. But I was like, nah, no, we can't miss this. This could be historic. And he started off the game sluggish, but oh my God, that last quarter, it was insane in that building. I don't think I'll ever be in Staples Crypto with that type of energy unless like Luca gets us to the finals. And even then, I don't think it's going to be that much energy. All the celebrities were there. They were playing cameos every time out from different celebrities around LA, actors, basketball players, all of that. And then the Mamba Out speech, got to see that in person. It was sick. That was an awesome Kobe game. I've seen him drop like 40 and a quarter on like Gordon Giercheck when he was in the league then. Seen a lot of Kobe, but that by far best, best game I'll ever watch. And super grateful that I went. So yeah, JRA, that is the craziest Kobe or favorite Kobe game that I've enjoyed and have been to in person. So, but y'all, make sure you subscribe to the Lakers for Lifers YouTube. If you're on YouTube right now, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn the notifications on. We're going live after every post game show. We got the chat lit. JRA always be coming through. Shay on the beat, water wet. I enjoy interacting. So bring your comments, bring your takes, bring your questions. But, again, subscribe, turn the noties on, like it. Let's get this out. We're building this channel from the ground up. I've got a couple other things up my sleeves and what we're going to be bringing to this channel in terms of a platform that I'm starting. JRA know about it. I'm just going to tell you this, easydimes.com. If you're not doing anything, easydimes.com. Go sign up for free. NBA intelligence app. If you're a bettor, you do a lot of parlays, props. We give the insight. So, it's really, we drop the dimes, you make the play. It's early access beta. I'm really just advertising it on here right now. Give yourself go play around. If you like statistics, if you like NBA intelligence, you like insight, it's in beta and we're iterating it. Myself, Shay on the beat, my bro. We're building it from the ground up, and that's what's going to be powering this channel. Other platforms get sponsors. We created our own business, our own platform to sponsor us. So we're trying to do different things on this channel. We're growing it, and we appreciate each and every one of you that come through, interact, pull up. So again, get over to the YouTube, subscribe on X at World of AO. Anything I post up, you comment, I always hit back. I'm big on responding to everyone. So we're building something cool here, but I hope y'all enjoyed the show. We'll get them back game 2, and we'll see what happens. But have a good night, y'all. Peace.